my name is Sharon Daniels, and this is a little bit of the story of my life. When I was 6 years old, my parents moved from Tennessee to Texas halfway through my first grade year. Normally, I wouldn't think that was a good idea for a student to change schools in the middle of the year, but for me it was great. My first teacher was fine. She was teaching me how to read, and I'm sure I was learning my math well, but I was very shy and I never felt comfortable in her classroom. I went because I had to, but I did not enjoy it. When we moved to Texas though, my new teacher, Mrs. Parker, made me feel safe and comfortable, and I loved learning in her classroom. I loved going to school. So Mrs. Parker was my inspiration. Because of her, I wanted to be a first grade teacher. And that's what I did. When I graduated from Southeastern Bible College, I was able to go and teach in a first grade classroom in a Christian school in Center Point. I absolutely loved it. Then I started my studies at Montevallo for my master's in education. I discovered that in order to get that degree, I would have to teach for a year at least in a public school or a state accredited private school. So I changed and began teaching in a city school. I had a fourth grade classroom, and I soon discovered that there were some problems. I took over halfway through the year for another teacher, and 4 of the students had already failed. For teaching science and social studies, she would have them read a passage in the book and then ask one question. The student either got a 100 or a 0. 4 of the students had zeros on their report card all the way across for social studies and science, and there was nothing I could do to help those students be able to move on to the next level, to the next grade. Later, I started trying to teach them long division, and I discovered most of the students couldn't even subtract well. So I felt helpless. It felt overwhelming. I couldn't do enough for these kids to make up for what they were lacking. So the next year, a first grade position opened up, and I jumped at the chance to take it. I taught for 7 years in the first grade at MacArthur Elementary, and I loved it. I was able to build a foundation for these kids, teach them how to read so that they could learn and grow in their education regardless of what teacher they ever had in the future. They could read on their own and learn. They were able to learn the math concepts and build a foundation there too. And they enjoyed school. That was important to me also, because I had been so shy. I knew to try to help the shy ones to feel brave and to try to learn and to read on their own. After teaching for 10.5 years, I stayed home to start my family. My husband and I had 3 daughters within 3 years. It was a busy time for us. I ended up homeschooling them for 8 years. By homeschooling, we were able to have individual work time where I could teach one-on-one, plus time when they learned to work on their own. Plus we were able to do extra things that you really can't do in a classroom, a lot of little cooking activities, and we were going on a great many field trips, a lot of really good ones that are just not possible to do with a large class with a limited amount of time in the classroom. So we really had a good time. And then when they were 9, 8, and 6 years old, we had a son. His name was Clay. So we wove into our schedule daily. Each one of them would have play time, where they would spend time reading to him, doing puzzles, playing with him, singing, whatever they felt like. But reading tended to be the favorite. And because of that, he began to read at an early age. He understood that the words that were being said matched the words on the page. He understood that concept early on. So that was a great benefit for him. My girls are in 9th, 10th, and 11th grades now at Hoover High School, and my son is in 2nd at Shades Mountain Christian. They don't need me as much at home anymore, so this is a good time to return to the classroom, and that is my goal. I love teaching. I love giving kids the keys to learning. There's nothing quite like it. I love working with a child until they get it. I love showing them different ways to figure it out. I love trying different things to help them grasp it. to understand math concepts, to understand how letters make words and words make sentences. They can read, they can write stories, all sorts of things. There's nothing quite like that. And the quote that motivates me the most is not an educational quote on a poster or in print anywhere. It's the one I hear when kids get it. When they come up to me and say, "Look, I can do this," or "Listen, I can read this all by myself." That motivates me more than anything else. And knowing that it's coming is what motivates me to keep working with kids until they get it. Because the more I work with them, different things I try, I know it's coming. I just have to keep at it and figure out what will help them. So that motivates me more than anything. Unfortunately, before I go back to the classroom, I need to become technologically savvy, because I am not. I know that when I think of technology, I first think of computers, but I know that it encompasses so much more than that now. iPhones, iPads, Chrome, Kindle, ebooks, it's too much for me. So I'm hoping that taking this class will educate me and make me more technologically literate, so that I will be able to understand how to use these different types of technology and what is most effective. I want to find out what to try with my students and not waste time on something that has been lacking. I want to use the most effective means, and I need to master it before I try to teach my children, my students, how to use it. So that is where I'm coming from as I begin this class. I am looking forward to learning a lot more about what's out there and how to use it in the classroom, so I'll be better prepared.